Alright then, welcome. So today I'm going to be talking about Mike Tyson's rise to fame. So yeah, he started off in New York and he didn't really have much, as you all know. He had a lisp, so people took the mick out of him a lot and he ended up getting into a lot of fights. And he didn't really have much of a nice home life neither. His mum used to give him weed and liquor when he was like 9 or 10, I believe. And like I say, got in a lot of fights with people. Both his parents ended up dying, which is such a shame, really. Um, so yeah, he ended up in juvenile hall, and while he was in juvenile hall, a man called Custom Otto came in and saw how good he was on the bag, and I think he trained him a bit in boxing. Well, obviously he did, but like at this point, I mean, he either saw him on the bag and held pads for him or something, or taught him some boxing moves, and then he decided to adopt him. So yeah, Mike Tyson being adopted by the great Custom Otto did him wonders. Obviously, on the Joe Rogan podcast, he did say that he still smoked weed while he was training, but he did say that training helped him out quite a lot, really. You know, like when he feel angry or down or gutted about something, trying to take his mind off of things, but he was really aggressive and he doesn't, because he was trying to knock someone out, or he'd be trying to knock someone out in sparring, or he'd be getting angry and doing the push-ups, pushing to the limit. So when he was young, he lived, breathed boxing constantly. I mean, if you watch some of the clips when he was 15, 16, he was insane. He was sparring men who were way taller and more broad. I know Tyson was massive for like a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old, but still, he was fighting men way bigger than him, and he was battering them, and none of them wanted to fight him at all, like spar him at all. So, he was a very, very vicious, fast guy. And a lot of people say, oh, he just had powerful hands, he just had powerful hands, and he did, but he used the peekaboo style, and he bobbed and weaved and used his footwork, got him with the body shots. It wasn't like, and the thing is, he didn't really load up on punches neither. Like you see nowadays, like people like David Price and Wilder, they really do load up on punches. Tyson didn't need to load up. He could do hard punches and they'd be really quick. He wouldn't load up, you wouldn't see him coming. That's why he was so successful. I'd say some people who are just like power punchers who get far are probably like, I don't know, because a part of me's thinking George Foreman, but he did have some skill, the way he pulled gloves down and then hit people. And I mean, he knocked out Joe Frazier and Ken Norton quite easily, really. So all the people who get to the highest level have got some sort of skill. But what I mean, saying Mike Tyson is just a power puncher is just crazy, because he's way more than that. He's just a beast. So yeah. Anyway, he did loads training with Custom Otto and Kevin Rooney. Tyson would probably get up at 4. Well, he did get up at 4 and go on a run. Do some training, like go back to bed, then do some training at like 10 or 12. Then he'd do some really tough strength and conditioning. No, he'd do some sparring, then to strength and conditioning, then I think some pad work, and then then he'd come home and watch, loads of tape of boxing to improve himself. But obviously having Custom Otto as his adoption parents, he's going to work. Like I said, it works wonders for him. And Kevin Rooney was an insanely good trainer who really cared about Tyson deep down. Well, cared about him quite a bit. Not as much as Custard, but he cared about him quite a bit. But yeah, Mike Tyson just went on an absolute rampage as soon as he became a professional. I mean, he was just insanely good. There's not many people at the age of 19 and 20 just knocking out all these fairly experienced heavyweights like it was nothing. I mean, it's just insanely impressive. When Tyson was 20 or 21, I believe. Well, he was champ when he just turned 20. I think he'd been 20 for like a month or two. And he beat Trevor Berbick, which was insane. Insane. He just knocked him out quite easily. And he came out in black shorts. And obviously only the champion comes out in black shorts. And he got fined for that. But Tyson in his corner knew he'd won it. And he made it look very, very easy. Beating Marvis Frazier, I know Marvis Frazier wasn't like anything special, but he was still quite solid, and knocking him out in 30 seconds was like, fair play, mate. And also, knocking out Larry Holmes like it was nothing, and knocking out Michael Spinks like it was nothing. Now, everyone says Larry Holmes was past his best, but this dude was able to box till he was 53 and he outboxed Butterbean, and I know Butterbean was not that good at all. Well, he was a really good power puncher, obviously, but Larry Holmes outboxed him at 53, so I know Tyson fought him at like 37, 38, but still, for Larry Holmes to only last like, I think, 4 rounds, I don't know, 3 rounds against Mike Tyson. I feel like that's just insane, and a 20-year-old whooping him as well. A 20-year-old beating him, it's like insane, like no one would do that nowadays, because there is like a few boxing heavyweights nowadays who are like 20. Like the only one who I can think of in heavyweight though is what's his name, Daniel Dubois. I think that's how you say it. And he's done quite good. He's beat quite a few people. I think his most recent fight he got a knockout, but the fight before it was really weird. He was against this older heavyweight, and he was doing well, but obviously he just won the decision. He didn't knock him out. But Tyson, man, at 20, he was absolutely thrashing every single person quite easily. Obviously, he did have a few decisions, but it is what it is, isn't it? So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, he first started, his first professional fight was in 1985, and he was 18, and he just went from there, absolutely knocking loads and loads and loads of people out, insanely good. But yeah, he got a couple of unanimous decisions against Mitch Green and James Tillis, but still, it showed that he can go the distance at the end of the day. But yeah, knocked out Marvis Frazier like it was nothing, like I say, and knocked out Trevor Berbick in 2 rounds. That was it. But then this guy called James Smith, unanimous decision against him, and he got a decision against Tony Tucker. But again, that's it. 4 rounds. He knocked out Larry Holmes in 4 rounds, which is amazing. Knocked out Tony Tubbs in 2 rounds. Oh, he knocked out Spinks in the first round. Damn, that's crazy. But after the Spinks fight, that was when Kevin Rooney left. I think Kevin Rooney wanted a bit more money, which is understandable. Mike Tyson was making loads and loads of money at the age of 20, but Don King didn't like it, and Mike Tyson had to sack him. So, well, Don King made Mike Tyson sack him, which is a shame, really, because he could have made some. Don King, he's just, I personally think he's not that much of a nice guy, and to put it kindly, and he screwed a lot of boxers over. He doesn't really care about their well-being. I mean, he screwed Muhammad Ali out of £1 million. It was mad. Well, $1 million years ago after Ali's final fight, I believe. And he just, all he seemed to care about was the paycheck, really. But yeah, after the enough about him though. So Mike Tyson fought Frank Bruno, and Bruno wobbled him. And the thing is, Tyson, you could tell he was just spending loads of money drinking, doing coke. He wasn't really taking it that seriously, and although Tyson managed to knock out Frank Bruno had him wobbled. Just Bruno, he didn't really have the ability to finish him. Really, he just wasn't good at following up. I guess quite big, He looked like he was sculpted out of stone, but at the end of the day, just wasn't able to follow it up. And then Mike Tyson knocked out Carl Williams. Then Buster Douglas managed to knock out Mike Tyson. Buster Douglas was fighting the fight of his life. I mean, Buster Douglas's mum had sadly passed away, and he was just training really, really, really hard. But after the Tyson win, Douglas faded into obscurity, sadly. But Tyson went 10 rounds and managed to uppercut him. But it's just, Tyson just wasn't taking it seriously, really. And then, what's it called? Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson was just wrecking a few people, obviously. But then but he did go to prison for a few years. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to get into that. Everyone knows what's happened, so no need to talk about that. If you want to find out, research it for yourself if you somehow don't know what's happened. But yeah, he fought Peter McNeely, but Peter McNeely got disqualified when his manager entered the ring, but Tyson was just battering him. Fought Frank Bruno again. Tyson did try to make a comeback at this point. When he got out of prison, he was absolutely massive, but he then lost to Evander Holyfield, sadly, lost the title, then he got DQ'd in their rematch. And from there, then he lost to Lennox Lewis, and his final fight was Kevin McBride. But by that point, I've skipped a load of fights. He won 50 and lost 6. But I want to talk about his final fight. How Tyson, he just sat down and gave up. He wasn't even getting that obviously he was just gassed. He wasn't training properly. He was just getting hit in the corner, and Tyson just sat down and just didn't want to get up. He wasn't even knocked out. He just didn't do anything, which is a shame, really. The sad thing with Tyson is a load of people just manipulated him for his money, and like managers and people who acted like they was his friends, and no one really cared about him deep down. They was all just bothered about their own well-being and manipulated him, because Tyson didn't really probably have any real friends growing up. The only man who really cared about him was like Chris D'Amato and Kevin Rooney to a degree, you know. So yeah, really, really sad life story for Mike Tyson, really, you know. But after boxing, it was a bit of a, you know, put on a lot of weight, and some tragic stuff happened in his life, you know. Yeah, but he got into shape again, and now he's putting on some weight. But you know, he seems quite content from what I saw on the Joe Rogan podcast. He seems like, you know, he says he smokes a lot of weed now, and he's still in with, like, you know, fairly famous people. It's good that he's in with people like Dana White, because I think Dana White genuinely is like a nice guy who cares about him, you know. And yeah, because I saw a video of him punching Dana White on the arm, and he's like, "Get out of my seat," just as a joke, you know. So yeah, for the last bit, I'm just going to say what I think of Tyson as a whole. Obviously, he made these mistakes. He trusted wrong people, but he didn't even have a proper education, really. He did load of coke, you know, and he should have trained harder, really. But if somebody kept him in check, I guarantee that Mike Tyson probably will be considered the greatest of all time. For peak greatness, I definitely would put him at number one, because I don't think any heavyweight ever would have beaten him when he was like 19, 20, 21. He just was absolutely smashing everyone. I don't think they would have been able to take his pace, just everything, his endurance, his stamina, his mental toughness, how good he was at knocking people out. So for peak greatness, I'd say he's the greatest of all time, personally. But overall, he's pretty decent. Obviously, the competition in the 80s wasn't the best, but it's the way he dispatched of them at like 19 and 20 made it look easy. Michael Spinks, Trevor Burbick, and Larry Holmes made them all look easy, you know. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about Mike Tyson, really. Amazing boxer, you know. So yeah, that's it.